What's up, everybody? I'm back with another roller coaster review, and we got a big one up here today. And it is, of course, Diamondback, the B&M Hyper roller coaster located at Kings Island that opened back in 2009. And this thing is an airtime machine. It's my first B&M Hyper ever, and I hope to get on more, but this was the first, and I gotta say, I absolutely loved it. It's my favorite Hyper. Again, Magnum's the only other Hyper I've ever ridden. I thought no Hyper would ever overtake Magnum. I find Magnum a very underrated roller coaster, but this ride blew me away with how much airtime there was. It was just absolutely insane. Now, as far as the restraints on this ride goes, I know this first time I was going to try those like B&M Hyper slash Giga restraints. I thought they were pretty cool. They were a lot more confining than I thought they were, but I didn't really get stapled on Diamondback. Or at least so I didn't think I get stapled. I was able to feel the airtime very, very well. Also, the seating layout on the trains always confuses me. I don't know why they chose the seat layout that they did. I think the ones that they did on the Giga coasters, aka Orion and Fury and Leviathan and stuff like that, I think they work out a little bit better. But hey, that's just my point of view, my thought. I think it was still a very, very. It didn't really take away from the ride experience that much. It was a little awkward, a little funky to me. Um, this thing, like I said, this thing is an airtime machine. You go down that first drop, and the drop is just absolutely massive. And then you go up into that first airtime hill, and you are solid airtime. You are just up there for like 5 seconds, just flying through the air. I think this is a ride. I think this ride gave the second most amount of airtime that I've ever felt outside of Steel Vengeance. Steel Vengeance, you were out of your seat about 90% of the time. Diamondback's about 80% of the time. That's still a very, very high amount. For most of the ride, I just felt like I was just flying. I had my arms out just like this, and I just felt like I was just absolutely flying through the air. The airtime on this ride was just insane. The drops were really awesome coming out of the airtime hills. I did think it was pretty short. I did not think it was going to be that short. I thought the B&M Hypers were going to be a little bit longer. Now again, I can't say this was different. Going to be like this one. If I ride Intimidator, or Carowinds, or Nitro, or Apollo's Chariot, or anything like that. But for Diamondback specifically, I thought it was a pretty short ride. But man, does it make up for it in the airtime. Like the short ride, I don't even care about because the airtime was just so good. It was just so addicting. It was insane. It was crazy. And then another unique element about Diamondback was its Splashdown Element. No other Hyper has this. No other B&M Hyper at least has this. I know Griffin at Busch Gardens Williamsburg has a similar Splashdown Element to Diamondback. But the thing about Diamondback is that Splashdown Element, it has a lot of good picturesque points. The Splashdown Element and the drop, the area, well, the part leading up to the Splashdown Element, and then the drop itself are very good video and photo points to the ride. But the Splashdown Element, like, I knew you weren't able to get any splashing off the ride, which I think is kind of stupid. I think it would be really cool if they were able to add a platform you can go up and watch the ride and even get splashed, kind of like you can do on the water rides when you hit the big splash element and you just have a bridge. You can get splashed while you're standing there. I think it'd be pretty cool if they added that. They don't, which is okay. And I know I wasn't expecting to really get splashed on the ride either. I asked the kid in the train before us, when they came back. He was in the very back row, and I asked, "Did you get splashed?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, "Oh, I wanted to get splashed." It was a hot day too, so that might be why I wanted to get splashed. But as we went down to the splash element, I actually got a little bit misted, which was a very pleasant surprise. I really enjoyed that. I was really happy to find that out. You actually, and I wasn't even all the way in the very back. I was like third to back row. So like if you sit in the very back row, chances are you can get a little bit more doused than I do. Or maybe you just get a little bit misted. Everybody gets a little bit misted because you're just right there. I mean, it could just be that too. Who knows? But I thought that was a really nice touch. And again, this thing is just an airtime machine. You are flying through those rides, flying through. I mean, even the drop, you are flying over the edge. I think the only parts of the ride where you really aren't flying are that splashdown element, the camelback, the turn, because they're not on back layout, obviously. The turn when you come back through the ride, and of course And you even get airtime as you go up after the Splashdown Element to the brake run. It's just, the airtime is this thing's main catalyst, and it is amazing. And Magnum, compared to Magnum gives a lot of great airtime as well. There's a lot of amazing ejector airtime on this ride. Diamondback's a lot more focused on floater airtime, and you get a lot more of it. It's also a smoother experience. I do love Magnum. I will admit though, it is not. It's an aero coaster from the '80s, so it's not going to be a smooth ride. But they're classified as smooth. It's not so rough that you can't enjoy it. It's like a fun classic rough. But Diamondback gives so much of smoother of an experience and so much more airtime. That's why I think it's the better hyper roller coaster. I think that's a category that I did not expect Kings Island to win in when I went there, but did win in was the hyper coaster aspect of it. And it is a great ride. This is a 9 out of 10 coaster for me. It is just absolutely amazing. 9 out of 10 only because I wish it was a longer ride. That's it. I just wish it was a longer ride. The operations were perfect. The theming, it has a nice sign. The station's pretty cool as well. Nothing to write home about, but it's Cedar Fair Park. What are you going to expect? The ride is absolutely incredible, though, and it is something. I don't know if this is what Intimidator or Apollo Stereo or Nitro or Candemonium or any of these other hypers are like. If they are, I want to ride them all. I want to ride them all now. I want to ride them all now. Get me on them now. But if you've ridden Diamondback or you've ridden Intimidator or any of these other, I hope keep saying Intimidator, but any other of the B&M hypers, comment down below your experience, your thoughts on them. If they give as much good airtime as Diamondback does. If you've ridden Diamondback, give me your thoughts on it. If you've ridden Magnum, is Magnum better than Diamondback in your opinion? I can totally see why. I could totally be justified on saying Magnum is better than Diamondback, but I just cannot say that. I really want to, but I just cannot say that Diamondback is worse than Magnum. I just can't. But that doesn't mean Magnum is a bad ride. That just means Diamondback's that good. So that's it for this coaster review though of Diamondback. Stay tuned for much more amazing content. More coaster reviews coming. And until next time, everybody, I will see you guys later. Goodbye.